nominees to the executive branch. Our Senate committees will continue holding hearings and markups on at least a dozen other nominees. The Senate will also consider two important bipartisan environmental infrastructure policies this week. First, and Senator Carper couldn't be here to talk about it, but he's done a great job, along with Ranking Member Capito and Senators Duckworth, who I think will be here, and Cardin, and will take up the Drinking Water and Wastewater Infrastructure Act of 2021. It passed through EPW with unanimous support. And what's very interesting about it, and bodes well for some bipartisanship in Build Back Better, the plan that the Republican senators sent to the president has almost the exact language that we are voting on the floor. So that's a good thing. We have both sides of the aisle have an opportunity to do amendments, just as we did with the anti-hate crimes bill. On a topic as straightforward as this, I hope our Republican colleagues will cooperate so that we can move the bill quickly. We don't need a lot of killer amendments, gotcha amendments, things not relevant to the bill, things just to delay. It's going to pass, and we want to get it done this week. Second, the second bill is a major, major victory for those of us who want to deal with global warming in a very strong way. And that is a vote on the methane CRA. The three folks here surrounding me, Senators Heinrich, King, and Markey, have worked very hard on this, and they'll talk more about it. But it is very important. I want to be clear. The methane CRA is a big deal. The rate not only drew the rule not only drew cheers from the environmental community, but also has the support of industry as well. It's going to help us address the climate crisis in a major way. Methane warms the atmosphere 86 times more than a ton. A ton of methane absorbs 86% more oxygen than a ton of carbon dioxide. The Senate will send a decisive message by reimposing these common sense rules to reduce methane emissions. Last week, President Biden set an ambitious goal for the U.S. to cut greenhouse gas emissions in half by the end of the decade. This is the first of many steps, many important steps the Senate will take to achieve that goal. Senator Heinrich.
Thank you, Leader Schumer. Why is this such a big deal? As he said, methane is 86 times more potent than CO2, but it doesn't stick around that long in the atmosphere. So if we do this, if we stop venting, if we stop flaring, if we stop leaking at the wellhead, if we stop leaking in the pipelines that connect the rest of the country, we can have an enormous impact on how much our atmosphere warms. And it was pretty instructive to me to look at the modeling and to see that between hydrofluorocarbons that Senator Carper led the charge on earlier this year, and methane leakage, we can take a huge chunk out of the global warming budget for the next few years. So this is an enormous opportunity. If you're in industry, this is an opportunity to keep more of your product and sell more of your product. This is absolutely common sense. And my hope is it would be broadly bipartisan, because when you have so many of the world's major oil and gas producers on the same side as the entire environmental community, you would think this would be a no-brainer.
Senator King.
Thank you. Controlling methane is the low-hanging fruit of combating climate change. It is the simplest, most direct, most cost-effective way that we can combat climate change, not 10 years from now, 15 years from now, or even 5 years from now. Now, with this passage of the CRA tomorrow, which would repeal the repeal, we will have a significant regulatory regime on the release of methane into the atmosphere from drilling and from pipelines. As Senator Heinrich mentioned, this is supported by many in the industry, not all, but many. For the simple reason, A, they think it's effective, and two, it is cost effective. This is not a high cost option. This is something that can be done at a reasonable cost and the payback is enormous. So this is a major bill. In fact, I would argue that if we can pass this tomorrow, it would be the most significant climate change bill that we've passed around here in many years. It may seem like it's this regulatory thing, CRA, but this is an enormous opportunity for this country to take a real solid, demonstrable step on the issue of climate change and demonstrate international leadership that is so important to confronting the problem that is global in its scope. So I think this is a real opportunity, and I will introduce Senator Markey, who has been working on this subject forever.
Methane was created.
Since methane was first invented in the Lincoln administration.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Leader Schumer, Senator Heinrich, Senator King, for your great leadership on this issue. Methane is a silent killer. It is 86 times more powerful and damaging than CO2 over a 20-year period, and it now accounts for more than 1/4 of all global warming. Methane pollution is also a compounding problem. It helps form the ground-level smog that we breathe, triggering asthma attacks and aggravating other respiratory conditions that have already taken center stage amidst a global respiratory pandemic. Even last year, with more cars off the road and many stuck in their homes, methane pollution levels kept rising. We cannot talk about combating the climate crisis without reducing methane emissions. If we are going to put out the fire of the climate crisis, we have to stop lighting matches of methane pollution in our own country and then be the example for the rest of the world. But there are solutions, and first we have to enforce the Clean Air Act instead of undermining it. It was, for the last 4 years, something that Donald Trump